What's up, everyone? It's Kanan back with another video. Sorry for the delay in stuff that is all new. Me and Jess have both been sick. I'm still technically sick, but getting over it a little bit. Plus work just taking up 95% of my time. And really, there's not been any info coming out recently for me to sit down and do a sit-down video with you guys. That's mostly why I've been doing just Let's Plays. But this idea came to me actually a couple of weeks ago. I put it on a poll and it did pretty well, but it didn't win. But usually, you guys know me, if I put something in a poll, even if it doesn't win, usually if I put it in a poll, I'm going to do the video eventually at some point. And this seemed like a good idea. It's a nice little quick video, get some new stuff out there, some new ideas out there. And all that. Still no word on the RWBY Ice Queendom English dub, though Erin did post a picture, I think it was on Instagram. I don't have Instagram. Jess usually shows me because she has one, that they are in the booth working on it. So hopefully we get it soon. Still no word if it's safe to react to, but I've seen other channels react to it. I didn't watch it, of course, because, you know, trying to avoid everything, but they were reacting to it just like we do the RWBY episodes. No timer, no hiding the screen. It was on screen. They were reacting to it just like you react to anything else. So maybe that's a sign that Ice Queendom is safe to react to. I don't know. Excuse me. I've still got a really bad cough, guys. But really, that's all else to really talk about. But this video is about RWBY video games. Now, of course, we've had RWBY video games, you know, Eclipse, Arafail is coming out not too long from now, and we've had other little games as well. So I wanted to talk about the future of RWBY in video games. Maybe what kind of genres we could see RWBY in next. Now, going down the line, as far as like big RWBY video games, there's not been many. There's been ones put out by Rooster Teeth like Amity Arena, which was a very popular game. It was kind of, I never played it myself. So if I get this wrong, please forgive me. I'm just not a big mobile phone game player. But Amity Arena, I think, kind of had like a tactics system to it and stuff like that. Very popular. To this day, I'm kind of shocked that they shut it down. Because you know it made money. You know it did well, but I don't know. Maybe they just decided not to carry on with it. Maybe they were losing money on it. I don't know. Then they had a deck building game that was online. It didn't last very long. Then they had the crystal puzzle game, which in a way was like just any other like puzzle game that you, I think, match stuff and they break and stuff like that. And if it hits the top, you lose. I never played it. I think Jess played it for a little bit. I think it was kind of like a Tetris game in a way, but I could be wrong on that. And it used the RWBY Chibi characters, and it didn't last long. They shut it down. And then, of course, we had the BlazBlue game, Cross Tag Battle, I believe. And I actually have the game on my PlayStation digital. I just haven't touched it in a while. There was that, so we technically kind of had a RWBY-like fighting game, but it's not all RWBY. RWBY and Weiss were in the base game. Then they added Blake and Yang as free DLC, and then, of course, Neo came out not too long ago, and that's been about it for RWBY in that game, so we've had at least a taste of what a RWBY fighting game could be. Then, of course, we had RWBY Eclipse, which was a hack and slash, kind of a beat-em-ups like game. Though, you know, you got to walk around and on the stages, you know, and all that. Me and Jess tried the couch co-op on that. It is horrendous, and I've been playing it solo ever since. And, you know, there's a lot of people that have a love-hate relationship with Eclipse. I don't mind it, but it's definitely not the greatest first time out, but in a way it kind of was a good first try, because there's been many series that have had video games that just were not good. Okay, like They did one, it was awful, never done again. RWBY Grim Eclipse was at least a good first try, in my opinion anyway. And then, of course, we have RWBY Arrowfell coming out. It's more of a side-scrolling platformer. I'm kind of dreading it because I stink at those kind of games, but I'm also looking forward to it. I'm trying to decide what to get it on. I either get it on Switch or I get it on PlayStation. I don't know. And I kind of hope there's a physical release like they did with Grim Eclipse, because, yeah, I still prefer physical games. Game looks really well done. It looks really smooth. It looks way better of an attempt than Grim Eclipse was. But then again, they've actually got a pretty big studio to back it up and to work on it, and probably a lot more money than they did back when Grim Eclipse came out. So yeah, Arafail will definitely be a big release. I will be doing a Let's Play of it. And so let's talk about what we could see in the future. Now, if you ask me, RWBY is going to continue to do nothing but grow. Ice Queendom, I think, has proven that RWBY is popular internationally. I mean, we kind of already knew that since they had a Japanese dub of it. But, you know, now we're getting a movie, a RWBY and Justice League movie, but still, who would have thought we'd ever see a RWBY movie? That kind of rhymes. But, I mean, yeah, that's a big deal. And of course, we've had manga, we've had comics, we've had all this merchandise, figurines, pops. You know, RWBY has, and you know, for the longest time, RWBY merchandise was mostly strictly just by Rooster Teeth, and they would outsource them to other stores. Like you could find them at FYE, GameStop, Books A Million. Now they kind of just went back to selling them just themselves. Ratings on their merch are kind of, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But either way, they're evolving. We now have Pop Parade figures, we have Nidroids, we have all this other stuff coming out that are put out by other companies. And so, yeah, RWBY is not done growing. It's far from it. And so that's why I believe it'll continue to grow in the world of video games. Now, okay, so with Amity Arena, we already got like a kind of like a tactics game. I wouldn't mind another RWBY tactics-like game, maybe like Fire Emblem. That would be fun. Speaking of Fire Emblem, I think RWBY would make a good Warriors game. I really do. Could you imagine? Well, a lot of people would probably compare it to Grim Eclipse in a lot of ways, but could you imagine a RWBY Warriors game fighting waves and waves of Grim? That would be fun. It might get old after a while, but it would be fun. You could do other things with RWBY. Visual novels. Could you imagine a RWBY visual novel? Well, I ain't no telling how that would go. I'm so, like, a lot of people want RWBY in Fortnite. I'm not a fan of Fortnite. Never plan to play Fortnite. It's just not my kind of game. I still don't. I understand the hype for it, but then I don't understand the hype for it. You know, if you love Fortnite, that's great. I'm glad you enjoy it. It's just not my kind of game. It would be cool if Team RWBY were in it. You know, they just were recently in Paladins, so it could fit. Who knows? You know, it keeps getting pushed. Like even Aaron is like definitely pushing RWBY making it into Fortnite. So we'll see. I know their weapons are also guns technically, but unless they're using their actual weapons, it'd be weird watching RWBY run around with an actual gun. Yeah, that would be something. So I don't know if I want to see like a RWBY first-person shooter, okay? Or like a RWBY karts game, like Mario Kart. Could be fun. I would definitely play it, but who knows if that's ever going to happen. Of course, I would love a RWBY horror game, but that's never going to happen either. I would love, personally, a RWBY and Final Fantasy XIV collaboration event where you would get RWBY outfits for certain classes. Ruby for Reaper. Weiss, I think, would fit as a red mage. Blake, a ninja. And Yang, of course, a monk. You would do an event, and whatever class you were, that's the gear you would get. But they could do something else for other classes. I don't think they would restrict it just to those four. But maybe if you're one of those four classes that kind of fit the girls themselves, and have the girls actually show up during the event, because they've done it with other series. They've done it with Monster Hunter. They've done it with Dragon Quest. They had Noctis from Final Fantasy 15 show up in Final Fantasy 14. They did a whole Alliance raid series with pretty much areas from Final Fantasy 12. So, and characters from Final Fantasy 12. So I would love for Rooster Teeth and Square to get together and do a Final Fantasy 14 collaboration event. That would be amazing. Speaking of Square, my biggest hope will one day be a RWBY RPG. Now, what do I mean by RPG? I don't mean like Skyrim or Fallout. I don't mean like a first-person open world RPG. I would like the ability to create your own hunter or huntress in it. And see, it's difficult. Would I want a single player experiments, or would I want an MMO RWBY game? It's hard to say. What kind of RPG would you like if it was single player? Would you like when you're walking on the map, would you want RWBY and the others to look chibi, but then when in actual cutscenes and when you're in fights, would they be regular size? Would you want it to be would you want to have random battles? Would you want it to be turn-based like old PlayStation 1 era and PlayStation 2 era RPGs? Or would you want it to be free combat like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 7 Remake? I think, actually looking back on, I think the characters of RWBY would benefit from free combat, because they're flipping and dashing all over the place, even in the show. So yeah, I think more of like the Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Kingdom Hearts gameplay would be good. But yeah, I would love one where you could create your own character, maybe set after the events of the show. So this, of course, would have to come out after the show is over with. And, Team RWBY and the others are considered legends, and your character is a fresh, young, new hunter or huntress, and during the course of your adventure, you meet them, you learn from them, and stuff like that. You learn the secrets of what Salem was, and all that kind of stuff. Romance options would be nice, but who knows if that would actually be a thing. But yeah, so my hope one day, I would not mind a traditional fighting game for RWBY, even though for me, fighting games get a little boring after a while, especially if it's just a one and done. Here's the game, that's it. I would also like it to be like an old school fighting game where all the characters are in the game, but you've got to unlock them. You've got to do certain things to unlock them. They wouldn't be DLC, It seems like the idea of having characters on the game but locked behind prerequisites is no longer a thing. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 did, and Xenoverse 1 did as well. They had unlockable characters, but you mostly got them just by progressing the story, doing parallel quests, or using the Dragon Balls. I don't know. I'm sure Fighter Z had unlockable characters, but it also has a ton of DLC characters. So does Xenoverse 2. So that's kind of hit and miss. I just miss old games where you had to actually unlock stuff instead of just buying them and instantly unlocking them. But above all else, I would either love a Final Fantasy 14 collaboration event or a full-on RWBY RPG. I think I'd rather it be a more linear single-player story, kind of like the old RPGs of the PS1 era, the PS2 era. I don't know if RWBY would really work, with like an open world setting. I mean, you could probably make it work, but I don't know. Like, I think RWBY would deserve to be in a game where the story is 100% the main focus. So I'd rather it be a more linear, old style RPG. Doesn't have to have the best graphics. It could be 2D pixelated for all I care. As long as it was good, good story, you know, fun gameplay, I don't care. You know, I would settle for turn-based if I had to, but I do think it would benefit better from like the Kingdom Hearts fighting style. But yeah, that's really all I've got to talk to you guys today about. I would talk longer, but this cough and all that just won't let me do it. But hopefully I'll be better by Friday's video. That way nothing will keep me from talking a whole lot. Might bring back some stuff I've not done in a while, like maybe a creepy video or something. Not done one in a long, long time. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed it. This was pretty much me just wanting to talk about what I would like to see in the future of RWBY as far as video games to go, because you all know I love video games. They are my second thing in life. First thing is Jess. But so yeah, that's what I'm hoping. An RPG, at the least. I'll be okay with whatever really they put out. I'll play it. But yeah, maybe one day we will get a nice little RWBY RPG game. Whether we play as a created character or as Team RWBY, I'd be happy either way. As long as it's good. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I ask. As long as it's good. Hopefully Arafail is good, and hopefully whatever they come out with next after that will be good. As always, guys, this is Kanan. Me and Jess love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.